Yo, what up, YouTube? What up, what up, what up? It's been a minute, man. I guess in this in between space, since, you know what I mean, I'm in between jobs. Um, I had a second to myself to review a few things. I never watched any of Myron May's videos, dude. Like, hold on, let me turn this down real quick. Freaking jamming out right now. Alright. I never watched any of Myron May's videos personally when he was alive. I was being targeted at the time as well. I was posting at that time. But you guys, most of my videos, if I get around to it, because I'll be bullshitting, I'm probably going to delete based upon patterns that I've seen in society today. I mean, with mass shooters and what have you. I can't really be associated with the group. All right. Not for the most part, because we're having incidents with people. And I'll get into that later. So on Myron May's video, all right, I'm just going to go over how I interpret it. Part one of his video. Part of his video, the first part, he details covert harassment. Okay, that's what he believes targeting to be. And I'm just talking about his video right now. All right. He believed at the time in 2015 that targeting or gang stalking was a COINTELPRO program. All right. Which my input on this is the fact that it's spiritual. All right. It doesn't have any connective tissue in the 3D plane. You're dealing with the mystery of iniquity, which is witchcraft, techno sorcery, and you're dealing with demonic spirits. Now, within there, we all know of the hive, and the hive pretty much, they pretty much run the world. That's what the Bible means by the world was given into the hands of the wicked. He's actually, he is talking about people, it steeps into the people, but he's generally talking about demonic spirits. All right. So if you're a person, it's a matter of what spirit you carry also. All right. Going on further, he believed it to be community harassment. And some of his key points were that stalkers make themselves known. In other words, they want to be seen. So for a lot of you targeted individuals that believe that your gang stalking or the phenomena that you experience, which is supernatural, believe it to be COINTELPRO and believe it to be someone stalking you secretly. I just want you to remind you, it's not done in secret. Okay, there's only those people who know about it and people who don't know about it. In other words, there's only people going through it, and there's other people who are not going through it. All right. Your stalkers, the key point he made is stalkers make themselves known. And for the most part, stalkers around me seem to like to make themselves known. Kind of reminds you of a good ghost story, right? The ghosts want to be seen, and like the Sixth Sense. And when the kid could see the ghost, then the ghost would all go up to this kid because they knew that they could be seen, and they wanted to be heard. This is the same way with demonic spirits or attention or energy, or when you pay energy or you pay attention. This is spiritual currency. All right. So when you're dealing with the going back to the COINTELPRO thing, because I feel like this is important, you guys. A lot of you guys getting on like the government's doing this or it's the police. It's not the police. It's not the government. All right. Now, the government has things working in place to have more of a control over society. These things are patented, but that's not what's being worked over you. Stalkers make themselves known. That was one of his key points. And I concur with that in my experience. All right. The feds, just like when you get with Young Thug and he's caught up on these RICO charges, this rapper. Listen, man, the feds, they like they like ninjas, bro. Like they look in your trash and everything like that when you set it out on the curb. Like they got Young Thug wrapped up heavy. Young Thug didn't know the feds were there. And I can concur with this because I had a homie back in the day where the feds kicked down his door, man. They waited till this dude racked up $1 million before making a bust on him. Okay? So in other words, he was basically indicted. All right? But he had no idea of that. So keep that in mind when you speak of targeting. If it was the feds, people who do this for a living professionally, they're not going to be seen. And those demons don't have to be seen either. It's just the fact that you can recognize them. They screw with you more. All right? There's a direct enmity and variance there and people in between that don't know nothing. That's what you're warring against. All right. Myron may believe that targets are placed on some type of list. You guys, there's no hard evidence of targeting some absolute list that the government has right now in place. All right. I'm sorry. It's just something that could get leaked, and there's been no leaks for over 2 decades. I can allege for that. All right. Nobody has came across the list, and there is no list. Let's not start formulating and making things up. But I can understand. We all understand where he's coming from. This is what he believed. All right. He noticed people pay extra attention to him. These are these demonic spirits. They like to get your reactions and what have you. All right. It was something that he noticed, and we can all concur with that evidence, right? People are just interested in you for seemingly no reason at all. You know what I'm saying? All right. Um, and he also believes people are given false narratives in terms of slander and this, that, and the other. This does occur. Gossip is a normal occurrence in the world. So you're dealing with 2 different levels of things here. You're dealing with demonic spirits and you're dealing with gossip that you'll run into at every single workplace because people are like they are in high school. There's nothing else to do, right? So the 2 of those ends, they don't necessarily connect unless that spirit jumps into an individual that you believe is doing something to you. And if you believe that individual is doing something to you, all right, you need to go through the proper channels. All right. But the fact of the matter is generally those people do not, or forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. It's a demonic spirit in there. All right. Some of the tactics he noted was briding. Someone, people turn on high beaming you and what have you. He was very reasonable with explaining this. And I've experienced briding as well. Sometimes people will hit the headlight, though. Just keep in mind, people will hit the headlight to let you know that, hey, man, there's a cop down the road. It's a speed trap. So anybody, you or anyone behind you, if you happen to be speeding, sometimes people will extend that courtesy, all right, to flash you with their high beams. V2K, as I described, are demonic spirits, all right? He says that his targeting gets worse at night. It's exacerbated at night. And he also talked about people copycatting him, whatever he was doing. And he also talked about microwave imaging or a form of telepathy, if you will. All right. So one thing to diagnose in this whole situation is a lot of us, people who talk about targeting, say, reference the word they out of ambiguosity. We don't know if it's the government or the police force or not. I'm telling you, it's not the government. It's not the police force. I'm telling you that right here, right now. All right. Some of you guys think that it's Dracos or serpents. It's not. It's not really them either. But I will say this: the 4th dimension overlays the 3rd dimension. So if you are able to pick up frequencies, right? Because your brain is basically just a receiver. It's like a radio. That's no different than a radio that goes through different bandwidths. You know what I'm saying? And channels. And and picking up frequencies. You know what I'm saying? If you concentrate on a thought or you have a strong thought, it could be transferred to a fourth dimensional entity. All right. Serpents do have telepathy. Greys do have telepathy. That doesn't mean that they give a damn about you. What you have to understand is when you live in a narcissistic, selfie culture, why would anybody pay any attention to you? So when we talk about they, right, we are talking about demons. It's the same they that Christ talked about. It's the same they that Christ was casting out of people. These demons have a hive mind. Okay? And I'm probably going to run out of time here because I wanted to get into a different subject here about the shooting in Buffalo, New York, where 10 to 11 people were dead and 2 were seriously wounded. All right? The shooter, his name was Peyton. All right? I'm not going to get into that. That's something like if I talk to y'all personally, but there's some indications that I have that there was more going on here. Peyton is pegged by the media as a white supremacist because 10 of those people were black that he shot. And Peyton was not from the original town that he placed that shooting in. All right. So he went to a random supermarket in a different town. All right. So as a white supremacist, we know that this wasn't planned, but we see that he's head to toe in military gear. So he planned it up to a certain point. Right. And if this store was random and he randomly visited this store, he wasn't planning on specifically killing black people. See, the news makes mistakes when it says things, okay, to garner a narrative, and the narrative doesn't add up. Because to me, if you're a white supremacist, you're going to go to a place with a lot of black people. He might have been more productive by going to a church. All this and the shooter pleads not guilty. Sounds like mind control to me. Sounds like he is a victim of this V2K or demonic spirits or what have you. But that V2K, someone simply putting words in your mind and shit like that, they have to be very intricate in knowing you very well for the thoughts that they elect to put in your mind. These are not just random thoughts, they are thoughts that trigger you. Or this V2K voice to skull thing.